Good morning, App Properties. Thank you for joining us again today. It's Wednesday morning, April 8th. I'm Amy Corr, and I'm here with Kevin Van Eck, who is again live from Goose Island. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Hey, I'm great, Amy. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Can't complain.
Awesome. So today we have a great topic. We're talking about action again. So thank you for joining us. We're talking about action because as we move through this, we know that the actions we take now are going to have results later. And so today we're really going to talk about, in terms of whether you're new or experienced, it doesn't matter. We need to act like a new agent in this market. And what I mean by that is get back to the basics, get back to the things that work. And so we have a very special guest on today who's going to talk with us about that. Because right now, if we're hibernating, someone else is taking our business down the road. We want to make sure that we're not hibernating. We need to make sure that we're focused on relationships, as we talked about yesterday, and connecting. So again, we have a very special guest today. We're both excited about it. Amy, you want to introduce her?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, so I'm super excited to have Caroline Starr with us today. She's from our Arlington Heights office. Caroline started her career in 2009, right in the heart of a challenging market. And we wanted to talk with her today about her success getting started and many of the things that she did as a new broker in a hard market and with only $500 in her pocket to get her marketing started. So Caroline, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here with you this morning. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I did my course at the end of 2009 and officially started in real estate January 1st, 2010. And it was at that time when, the market was really, really terrible. And everyone kind of looked at me and was like, what are you doing? Why are you getting into real estate? And really it came down to that there really was a great opportunity there because it's one of the few industries where there isn't a ceiling on what you can do with it. So it immediately intrigued me, but yeah, it was a little bit nerve-wracking going into something like that when people were outwardly telling me like, why are you doing this? But real estate was always something that intrigued me. So it kind of just naturally led to me getting into it. And I think overall, in the end, it ended up being the right way to go. Sorry.
Yeah, no, No, that's great. Don't apologize at all. What we love so much about having you on, and one of the things, that Kevin and I talked about in talking with Stephanie, who's your managing broker, is that we've had a lot of feedback since we started our show here from agents about, but I'm newer in the business and this is a challenging market. And a lot of the tools that I used to have, I don't have anymore. And so, we really want to focus on the fact that it doesn't matter where you are in your career right now, you can be successful, So I think what I want to ask a little bit from you is tell me a little bit about your routine. And actually take me back to when you first started. I want to understand a little bit about what your routine was when you were brand new, because I think being a new agent, it's so tough to even, create some structure. So tell us a little bit about those early years, because it was 2009, the market was tough and you didn't have a lot of money to market yourself.
Yeah, so I think it's great when you can rely on a strong brokerage like we have at App Properties, because as a newer agent, you necessarily don't have the statistics to rattle off of your own individual production and anything like that. So it really came down to, number one, realizing what kind of agent I wanted to be. So like, what do I know about myself? I really like interpersonal relationships. So I knew my focus was going to be more about touching my friends and family and my sphere of influence and working from there. With that in mind, then I think what can be really difficult about real estate is there's always a lot of opportunities coming your way on where you can spend your money in real estate. And as a new agent, it can kind of be overwhelming because it can be, do this course, spend money here, buy these leads, and it can be a lot of noise in the background. So what I decided to do is just choose one thing that I was going to dedicate myself to. And that for me at the time was like a coaching course that I took, which just gave me consistent things that I was going to do. And then I kind of tailored that to fit my personality as well. Because I was not going to be someone who was writing 15 to 20 personal notes a day, but I could certainly write 3 personal notes a day. I could do pop buys, different things like that. And then within that, having some knowledge and statistics to be able to have a genuine real estate conversation. And maybe it wasn't shoving statistics down your throat, but it was talking about real estate in a way that was relatable to people. So I didn't have a lot of the stories to say, oh, at my listing this week, we're not seeing, you know, traffic, we're not getting showings, or I have an angry seller. I didn't have any of that knowledge or base of information to use. But what I did have is people's stories at the office of, oh my God, they saw this at a showing, the ugliest wallpaper, different things like that, which is relatable, and you're still talking about real estate, and yet you're not shoving it down their throat. But what people then tend to remember is that you are in real estate, and then they're going to circle back to you when they want information on it.
So that's great, because having that conversation can go a number of different ways. And what do you say to someone now? So whether it's a new agent or an experienced agent, you know, if people are asking, you know, what's going on with the market, what would your answer be in this environment?
So I think one of the best things that's come out of right now is it's literally giving you the permission to reach out and talk to people. You don't need that, oh, how are you doing type conversation. But when people are asking me how the market is going, I am saying that the market is moving along. We are seeing showings. We are seeing things going under contract, which I think are 2 of the biggest indications of the market moving. Are people actually getting out there? Because people can throw their house on the market and maybe they're not getting any showings, or maybe nothing's going under contract, but letting people know, hey, we're seeing this amount of showings still happening. We're seeing these properties go under contract, provides people with information that they want to know. They want to know that things are moving along. They don't want, they want reassurance. They want reassurance that what they're doing, if they're a seller, if they stay on the market, is it the right time to stay on the market? My feeling is absolutely it's the right time. I think we are going to have a surge in the market when we get back to a state of normal here. I think as we're all feeling this kind of pent up, oh my God, get me out of my house, let me talk to other people than the 4 people within the walls of my home that I'm stuck talking to. Everyone feels that thing, and that for buyers is going to translate into they want to get back into the market and they want to buy something right away. So I think the market is at an interesting point, and it's different than the market that I saw back in 2009, 2010, all the way up into 2012 when it finally kind of started to recover. Is we don't have all the mistakes that we had back then. Our houses are not overvalued. Our housing prices actually in the area are very stable. We don't have mortgage lenders who have created this like infrastructure that really wasn't there, of no docs closings and things like that. So we're not going to have this, I believe, huge dip. I think we're going to have a bit of a flat line here, but then it's going to surge right back up. So we need to be prepared and marketing ourselves appropriately so that when that surge happens and people are jumping right back into the market, they're calling us.
So I love that, because, you know, I agree. I think, you know, the whole concept is that agents need to really be ready for the momentum that is going to come. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that, you know, so 2009, you entered the market, you know, it was tough for a few years, but then we saw some of that momentum, you know, really take flight in 2012. And you grew from, you know, being an individual broker to now having a very successful, you know, team with a number of individuals working kind of, you know, under your umbrella. So I want to understand, what are some of the few vital things you think, you know, you really focused on or that you did that led to where you're at today?
So the number one thing I always tell new agents or anyone that I've talked to who's thinking about getting into real estate is you have to have consistency. And it goes back to, you know, there's lots of things that you can invest your money in. We did Zillow leads for a little bit and we found them not to be successful at all. We spent a lot of money on it. In fact, it was the only year we've had a downturn in our business. So I find that if you are consistent with the things that work for you, your brand, the type of agent you are, and those things for me were the personal notes and pop buys and having what I consider genuine real estate conversations, but not having necessarily a tagline with it. I'm not the type of agent who wants to have a tagline that ends every conversation with, if you know someone who wants to buy a seller house, please keep me in mind. I tend to be that like more genuine and approachable with real estate information about it. And the people who work for me on my team are the same way. And that's what I teach them, is how to have conversations like that, but without coming off inauthentic, because it all plays into the brand that you want to be. But I do think consistency, social media provides us with such great opportunities right now that are free, a lot of it that you can do on social media and things like that. But the number one thing for our business that we do is videos, because we find that people, the attention span for them is there. The information that we try to give them is clear, concise, and we try to be, again, approachable and funny and not so like straight line with it.
Got it. I want to go back to the conversation piece, because you're working with your team in terms of conversations they're having surrounding real estate. And we also talked about, you talked about how Zillow leads weren't effective for you. So what is the fear, though, that you think that people have sometimes in reaching out to their database? Because we know that relationships are the core of real estate. So, you know, for you, your team, how do you get someone past the fear? You know, there's some safety maybe in feeling like you're working with a lead. How do you get them past the fear of reaching out to the actual people that know, like, and trust them?
So I always say start with the people that you know the best, your friends and family. Like, they're going to be the kindest and most genuinely want to care for you. So if you are nervous about making those first few calls, then start with the people that know you the best, and practice on them. Back when I was in the business, and then when I started my team, you know, we would consult our clients, our families and friends about everything from, you know, do you like this logo? Do you like this postcard that we're putting out? We'd ask them opinions on, what do you think of this script that we're thinking of using? Or as a seller, if you were selling your house, what are some important things that you would want to hear or know from your real estate agent? So using those people, but not being afraid to pick up the phone and talk to people, or do something that has more of a personal touch. Anyone can email or text someone, but when you're picking up the phone or doing a Zoom meeting or anything like that, it just gives that more personal touch that a lot of agents out there are not doing. The biggest thing we always hear is, oh, I never heard from my real estate agent again, or she never talked to me, or anything like he or she never talked to me. You know, but if you're involving yourself and getting out there and doing that personal touch, but you can't be afraid. So start with the people that you know will handle you well, and ask them to be truthful with you too about how conversations go with them.
So I love that you talk about the idea of kind of embracing, you know, your sphere, or the people that know you as a broker, and kind of have them help you embrace your business, right? This is what you were just talking about. And I think they become more invested in your success if you really, you know, ask them about, hey, what do you think of my logo? Or what do you think about my tagline? Or just any sort of, you know, positioning. So, you know, one of the things you talked about a little bit earlier, you know, before we started videoing, is I know you're doing videos every day, Monday through Friday, right, with to reach out to your sphere. But you talked about what you do on Fridays, which I thought was kind of fun and engaging, because I think what's so important for agents is sometimes, especially being newer, I know I felt this way. I felt like I always had to talk about real estate. You know, sometimes it was, you know, if I'm talking to somebody or reaching out, that has to be my focus. So, you know, what are your thoughts on that? And maybe even just share what you're doing now on Fridays.
Sure. So we are doing a market update either Monday or Tuesday each week. And the whole premise behind our videos are, I don't like to script them at all. I might have one or two things that I want to mention, but otherwise it's usually I'll talk to my team, or we'll talk to people that after we've talked to our sellers and buyers, like what are we seeing as a trend? What are some questions that came up that we can maybe approach? But I don't like to have it scripted, because I want it to feel genuine. I want it to feel like I'm having a conversation with them. And then because of that, we'll keep our bloopers in there, or if things happen that are weird, but we find that those are the ones that get the most views and things like that. So one of the things we started is on Fridays, we just started this actually last week, but we had a huge response to it, is we're calling it Feel Good Fridays, where we put out there, hey, let us give us some information on feel good stories that you have. Maybe your neighbor did a good deed, or maybe you want to wish someone a happy birthday, or anything like that. And we were surprised at the amount of volume that we got in responses of people like, oh, hey, mention this or do this or say this. And even the local school district had reached out and said, oh, we're doing this District 214 Cares Challenge. And, you know, we've raised about $4,700 in 24 hours. Well, now in 1 week, they've raised $42,000. And that's just for the vulnerable families in the district. So there's stuff like you can do like that. But even when I did my market update yesterday, as I was doing it, the camera fell and it went sky, and then it came back to me, and I just kind of was like, oh, you know, we just kept going with it. But it's those that people feel are genuine. There's also a blooper reel on there. One time we were doing a house and I could not stop laughing. It was one of those things where you just like, you're laughing so hard you're crying. But we've actually put that up per request because people are like, oh my God, it was hilarious how you could, I couldn't get it together. But it's, you know, you have to be, it should be a conversation. It should be like this, where it's just going, you know, it's almost like a back and forth without the back of it. But, you know, it's making it approachable, keeping it genuine, and being consistent with the brand that you're trying to put out there.
That's awesome. And authenticity, you know, Amy and I, there are no bloopers because we're so natural and good at this. Things just go so smoothly. So with that, I know I want to go back because you're really teaching and leading your team through this and how they can continue not only to grow now, but preparing them for the future. Meaning, if this happens again, we know the market goes in cycles. You can't plan pandemics, but you can prepare because you've now been through at least two market cycles. For them, you know, what are you coaching them through right now in terms of what their actions are, or how they're scheduling their week or day?
So the main thing, and it's kind of the mantra that I've always used both with business and with my family, my kids can recite it to you, that be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Set the temperature, don't react to it. So my message with my team is always have things that you are comfortable talking about, like know a few statistics or market data that you can use. But like, for example, this week, I told them, you're sitting there with your phone in your hand. Your assignment is just to go through your contacts and reach out to them, do something with them. Either that contact should be deleted or reach out to them in some way, shape, or form and talk to them. Because again, what this market has given us is it's given us the opportunity to reach out and be like, hey, how are you? Hey, I haven't talked to you in 2 months, 2 years, whatever, but just came across your name on my phone because I'm sitting here thumbing through my phone. This market right now has given us the opportunity and the permission to say all that without feeling like, oh my God, because I think that can be one of the scariest things sometimes. Whether you're a new agent or a seasoned agent, is sometimes just picking up the phone and being like, okay, what am I gonna say to them? How, is it a, hey, hello, how are you? You know, or is it just, and I think it's one of the greatest things this market has given us is the ability to just be like, how are you? And let that be a genuine, true statement. And you'd be surprised and everyone's lonely right now. Everyone is wanting to talk to other people besides the people that they're stuck in their house with.
It's so true. It's like Zoom has become this new reality, and it's not odd to ask people in a large group if they'd like to, you know, have a Zoom happy hour, right? It's kind of our new reality. So what I also wanted to ask, or I'm kind of curious about, is, you know, how you guys are operating right now. You know, this market has changed for all of us. So what are you seeing? We're, you know, 2.5 weeks into this shelter in place, and, you know, give us a snapshot of what your business is looking like. You know, how are you handling showings, inspections? You know, what are you guys seeing right now?
So currently right now for us, we've only had one of our listings that does not want to show. What we are seeing more actually is people who were considering coming on the market are trying to hold off, but we're still getting them on the private network because I still feel like it's very important to put yourself out there. If you're not out there and other agents are seeing you and different things like that, then no one is talking about you. So you need to be being talked about right now because like I said, I believe that when this is done, there's this pent up thing of that people are going to come out and want to be part of this market, whether they're in it or not right now. But we are seeing a lot of our listings are still getting consistent showings. It might not be 5-6 showings a week or more. It might be onesies or twosies here or there through the weekend, but we are still getting showings and seeing people do that. Everyone wants to just be treated with care. And if we can do that for them and they know that they can reach out to us and we're having those conversations with them, we want to be approachable. We want to know how they want to handle this situation. But I think most sellers want to sell, buyers want to buy, and people are still active in the market and doing things. And even if they're taking a slight pause or not pushing down on the gas pedal so much right now, they're still in there. They're still doing the online showings. They're asking for virtual tours. So again, a lot of our marketing right now has, we're doing the videos, but we've taken our photos and things like that are set to music, but we're doing an introduction to them just to make them a bit more personable than just, a series of photos with music.
Right. I mean, everybody has, definitely had to kind of adjust in sort of the new norm. So in kind of to wrap up, I would love for you to give, 1 or 2 tidbits of advice for all brokers, but specifically new or newer agents working to get their business off the ground right now. So what would you, if, you were talking to somebody brand new, what are the 2 things that you would tell them to be focusing on right now?
So the number one thing I would tell them to do would be consistent with something. Choose 1 or 2 things. Don't get sidelined by all the different things that you could be doing. Choose 1 or 2 things that you can really focus your attention on. Whether that be, I'm going to commit to reaching out to 10 people a week, it can start with those little things, because that can be, as a new agent, you're like, I don't even know the first 10 people I talked to, so you just got to pick those first 10 people and commit to doing something like that. So I think consistency is a huge key, but I would also say the second thing would be, for whether you're a new agent or a seasoned agent, don't be afraid to not have the answer either. People want to look to you for knowledge, but they want to look to you to know that you're going to get the answer that they want. So if you don't have the answer necessarily to the question that they need, just be like, you know what, that's a great question, and I'm not quite sure about that, but I'm going to get back to you on that. And then make sure you get back to them on that, because then that's all laying the basis for that you are the knowledge expert, you know what's going on in the market. And if you don't know, you're going to find out for them. And that's that personal stuff that they want to know. So I would say be consistent and don't be afraid to be wrong or not know the answer.
That's awesome. What I love about this conversation we've had today is everything you've talked about is free or super cheap. So what I mean by that, everything you've talked about is relationships. It's going through your database, going through your phone and calling someone. That's free. You've talked about handwriting notes, whether it's 3 a day or 15 a day, whatever someone can do consistently, that's low cost. The videos you're doing on Facebook, does that cost you anything? No. So everything you're doing really is something that any broker can do right now. So I want to make that point that, a lot of times we look at marketing budgets and we say, I don't have $5,000 to spend, whether it's print or digital or whatever it might be. Really, this is bringing us back to where the relationships matter most, and they are the easiest to convert versus Zillow leads, versus Trulia, versus Realtor.com. They're the ones that are not only the easiest, but free to convert. So thank you, Caroline, for being here. Thank you, Amy. Before we wrap, I want to say one thing. If you look at the email below, we've got a list of all of the trainings for the rest of the week here. We really want to stress that you take advantage and take the time now to learn the tools that maybe you didn't learn before. Maybe the ones that you always had in your, in the back of your mind, that you need to know how to use the CMA, or you need to know or want to learn more about ZenList. Whatever it is, take a look at the list below, sign up for a couple of the virtual online trainings, and hopefully we'll see you on those. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Amy. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Caroline. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you asking me to be on the call. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, same. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.